Here's a part two from my part one of the unboxing of a Kyberlight Master Level lightsaber from the Kickstarter project. If you've been following along, and thank you if you have been, you have seen that I've opened the Kyberlight blade. I opened up the box. We took a look at some of the accessories, at least in a packaged up fashion. Right now, what I have it doing is simply charging in the wall over here. You can't tell on the saber itself that it is charging, other than there's a plug in there. And you'll see right below, there's the on button, here's your color switch button, right below those is the little port for the adapter to be charged. It's not USB, it goes straight to the wall or any kind of outlet that would take a wall outlet. And on the outlet thing, those black box things, on that itself, there's a reddish light right now. Obviously, when it becomes green, as it says in the instructions, which I'll flash again really quick, as soon as it becomes green, that tells us that it's ready to go. On here, it does mention, I think over in the charging area, how many hours it should last on a charge. It says 3 continuous hours of usage, and hopefully I'll get closer. 3 continuous hours of usage on a charge, or 8 hours of sporadic use. I don't think that's too bad. For a lightsaber that you can charge, you won't be replacing batteries. That's not a bad deal to me. And I personally will not be using it all the time. I am not necessarily part of any kind of lightsaber club or dueling club, so for me, this kind of thing is going to work great. And if you're a lightsaber club person or a person who would use this all the time, even hours per day, it might get kind of frustrating to charge it so often. It does say it takes approximately 2 hours, and I don't think that's a very long time. I've had plenty of things that take 3 times that long just to charge. The Luke Skywalker lightsaber that I was showing you that I have on the first video, this takes 3 AAAs. And I think I replace them like once a year or so. I mean, I do want to make sure they don't, start leaking or anything like that. So I'm a little more on top of it with this one for replacing batteries. But do I need to change it, every few hours or replace them every few hours? Not quite. So that's one benefit this one might have. And of course, I love the fact that it looks just like the Luke Skywalker lightsaber from the movies. Big fan of that. But in terms of other features that the Kyberlight has that this one doesn't, I'm still in favor of having a Kyberlight as well. I do enjoy owning both now. I think it's going to be a great partnership between the two. So this is still charging, and you might have noticed as well that I was able to take out the blade. It wasn't too bad. They provide an Allen wrench in the box with the blade itself and the hilt, as well as the basic accessories that I believe the Knight backers would have gotten. And I'll show where that was located if I can just hold up the box here again. This is where the blade was located in here, and the hilt was connected to it down here, was already connected. And way over here, past all the accessories, there's a little Allen wrench spot. It might not even show up on the video, but it was kind of taped in there. They have an Allen wrench, and when you use that on a part of the hilt, I can show you. Let me find that Allen wrench and see where it scampered off to. There it is. If you put it in this slot up here, is one of these types of slots right up here. There was a screw that came with it, and it's sitting on the floor right now. If you simply unscrew that, that's what lets the blade come off. It didn't take a lot of rotations to make it come off, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It didn't feel flimsy, I'll definitely say that. And what I could even do right now is try to see what happens if I try to put the blade back on. One thing I'll note it does fit snugly in there. You can kind of feel it hit the bottom, which is kind of nice. You got it right. One thing I should mention is that it does say in the instructions it will not turn on when it's charging. That may bug some people, but it doesn't really bug me too much. And let me just see if I can get this tiny little screw to start getting back in here. It's a little small, and with one hand holding up the lightsaber so you can see in one hand using the screw, it's not exactly super easy. Got it started. Let's see if I can. Also, by the way, the top piece I had on here, I just realized I forgot to put back on, but no problem. We can grab that later. And this is obviously in the wrong way. Let me see if I can think of something else to say about it while I am feebly working on this. The sound, I should say, when I accidentally hit the on switch again while I was turning it off earlier, in between videos, I gotta say the sound right next to my head was like booming. So it's almost too loud when you're right next to it and not expecting it so far. Not that I'm trying to bash Kyberlight. I'm glad that the sound is quite loud. When you're at a convention or somewhere where you want people to hear it, that'll be great. But right next to you, it was almost like too much. for me personally. Now, I did not rotate that very much. I don't know if you saw that while I was talking. I did not rotate this Allen wrench screw very much, and it is in there. Like this thing, I can tug at it and it's not coming out. And now it should be ready to go, theoretically. I mean, even theoretically, I should be able to take out the charger if I hit the on switch. Nothing happens, but I should be able to take out that charger. It has have enough juice in it to turn on, but I'm going to wait for now in support of my ears and also just to be able to talk more about the lightsaber itself. It does seem to have two different types of fasteners up here for the top pieces like this one. There was a different way to get this on, and let me see if I can still do it, than there was to get the entire hilt on, or the blade on itself. So there's a circle on there that you might or might not be able to see in this accessory, and that matched up with, and of course I can't get it down now that it's on that the screw's on, but that came down. There's a screw type of thing I can show you here. I set that down. This little accessory piece here, that went right into that hole that you see on the accessory and screwed right into the lightsaber. So it does fit in a round fashion that just kind of, screws right in. And I think that's going to work out great. I'm sure, I haven't checked yet, but I'm sure I could grab any random accessory like this one and find the hole. There it is, right there, if you can see it. And this will plug right into it and screw right into the hilt, theoretically. So I like the simplicity of it. It does not take an act of Congress or any kind of complicated, tools or screwdrivers, except for the Allen wrench, to remove, change, customize the accessories in that way. It did take the Allen wrench for the blade itself, but I think you'll probably be doing the blade fewer times than you will be doing the accessories, especially if you're trying things out and trying to have fun with it. I'm not sure how long it'll take for this thing to charge. It could have been sitting in a location for a while without having any electricity. I am going to actually, at this point, just for funsies, again, take out the charger. And it didn't make a noise or anything, but I have a feeling as soon as I hit that button and plug my ears, it will turn on. I do like the effect, the noise effect it makes when it turns on. What I wish it did was, it doesn't seem to have the cool as much of a fling up the blade as the Luke Skywalker version does. Let me see what happens again if we turn it off. Again, that was me holding down the button. I still haven't found anywhere where it says hold down the button to turn it off. So that might be confusing to people like it was to me when I first used it. But you'll notice there, it didn't have like the fade down effect that a lightsaber from the movie or like the Luke Skywalker one has, which is a little disappointing. I wish it did have that. So I'll try to turn on both at the same time. See what happens here. Hopefully you saw the lightsaber over here, the Luke lightsaber. It kind of flung right up the blade. And this one over here, it does fill it up. It fills it up bright. It fills it up with nice sound effects. But it doesn't do it quite in the same way. And then turning them off. Just different. It just kind of turns off without that effect. That's not a deal breaker at all by any means, but it is one of the more fun effects. And one thing I know that the Luke Skywalker version here does not have is that flash on clash effect that some people like to call it. I don't know if it's a trademark term or not, but I haven't tested that out yet, and I think I would like to now. So let me turn this on again, just mostly because it's fun to hear the sound effects. Also on that note, while I cover up the sound effects really quick, it is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of fun to have the sound effects come out of the blade on the Luke Skywalker one, those like hit effects, when the lightsabers clash, they had that cool noise. I haven't tried, kind of, smacking this one around a little bit to see what happens, but that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take my hand off the sound effects here and see what happens. So it does seem to be similar to the Luke Skywalker version, where the hilt itself is the one that needs the contact. Although I can't seem to get another flash. You saw it? There we go. It worked for a few seconds and then stopped. And maybe my hand, I'm just not hitting it hard enough. There we go. It does seem to take a little bit of force. And you'll notice the whole blade seemed to flash, which is kind of cool. It wasn't necessarily localized like it would be in the movie, but it still looks cool. Let's go to a red color here and see how it looks. Or not. Yes, it seems to take a lot of force. I was doing it at first. Not sure why I can't do it now. But that was what the flash looked like. And you can hopefully hear the effects with that. There we go. I'll definitely practice and see how much better it works in the future. I'm going to cover up the sound again really quick just to give another note. There seems to be lots of colors that are similar but a little bit different. For example, this one, and again it's hard to see on the video, is pretty red. And there were kind of other red tints too. This one's a kind of light tealish blue. And there have been other light tealish blues. This one's kind of like almost like a clear purplish pink. And this is another purplish pink but less clear. So yes, it's great that they have 20 colors. It's just kind of odd, like I don't know what I would really call them. Especially because, and the worst part is you might not be able to see this on the video, the tip seems to have a definitely different shade of color than the bottom. The light definitely coming from down here at the base is way strong at this area. And as it goes up the lightsaber, it gets weaker and weaker. So it's a little bit less bright and less fun up there than it is down here. I'm sure in the dark it'll look extra awesome because most light up things do in that way. But it's interesting how at this point it almost looks like a kind of a weak purple down here. And as I go up it looks way more pink. And at the tip it's actually very pink to me. Which may or may not show up on the video, as I keep saying. So very interesting to me. Excited about the colors, but it's also interesting how they seem to be similar, but also different, even within the same color scheme. This is another red one. This red looks almost exactly the same as the last red that I remember. So that's a little interesting too. And I'll just kind of cycle through. I like the green. The green looks nice. And actually, on that note, while it's really bright down here, like I was pointing out earlier, as you go up, it stays relatively bright compared to the other ones. And even the tip on the other pinkish color was barely light at all. This one still has quite a bit of light to it, which is nice. So maybe the color, it depends on the color, how much brightness you're going to get. Also, don't forget, which I just realized, I had not fully charged this thing, so when it's fully charged and at complete full power, it might work out a lot better. This is going a little bit longer than I was hoping for, and I probably won't make a third video, but you never know. So one thing I'll do one more time is turn this off, just to show the effects. I do like the sound. And just turn on the Luke Skywalker one at the same time, and turn this one on at the same time, and just have a little fun showing what they look like, the brightnesses again, the lengths, as like a final, not necessarily review of either of them, but comparison from what I already have to what I just got. And I do want to help Kyberlight promote because they are doing an awesome job in my opinion. All of the accessories, they seem well machined, it's all CNC'd, it's great. So let me just turn these on again, and I'll turn the video off.